From stories across the globe to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Sharifa Tahir.
Good evening, I'm Stefan Dialwis. Let's take a look at the top stories for tonight.
The police say that Sri Lanka is not a hub of the global illegal drugs network. Steps taken to protect the nation from the global coronavirus outbreak. President invites all entities to extend their support for his program on behalf of the country. The government's attention to introduce a convenient methodology considering several factors including the issuance of permits for the granite industry.
We move on to those and other stories in detail now. DIG Ajit Rohana says that Sri Lanka is not an international drug trafficking hub. He made these remarks while taking part in a media briefing held at the Ministry of Defence today. Meanwhile, the haul of illegal narcotics and the ships apprehended by the Sri Lankan Navy and Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau in the southern seas were brought to the Kovita harbour this morning after completing a 25-day mission. This is the largest haul of narcotics apprehended during one operation in the country thus far. Approximately 400 kilograms of heroin and 100 kilograms of ice illegal narcotics have been discovered from the ships. 8 Pakistan nationals, 8 Iran nationals and 5 Sri Lankans are among the suspects. Police Anti-Narcotics Bureau said that the first information regarding the haul of illegal drugs was received a month ago. The mission was carried using the Sayurala and Samudra vessels belonging to the Sri Lankan Navy. Vice Admiral Piyal De Silva of Sri Lankan Navy said that the Navy was able to apprehend more than 1,161 kilograms of heroin drug during the past 14 months. He also said that close to 5,000 kilograms of marijuana were apprehended by the Navy while en route from a foreign country. Media spokesman of the Sri Lankan Navy, Lieutenant Commander Isuru Surya Bandara said that the relevant embassies have been notified regarding the arrested foreign suspects. Meanwhile, during the raids carried out jointly by Sri Lankan Navy and the police since November 16th, 885 kilograms of heroin have been apprehended. 12,000 suspects have been apprehended during these raids. DIG Ajit Rohana said that the total value of the apprehended heroin is at 1,000 million rupees. He said that the drug trafficking network via sea routes has been destroyed by the Sri Lankan Navy and the police. He said that Sri Lanka was branded as an international drug trafficking hub. He also said that they have managed to completely wipe out that image and that their target is to uncover the network of the drug traffickers and completely destroy that network.
Many positive steps have been taken by the health and affiliated sectors to safeguard the nation from the threat posed by novel coronavirus. In addition, people of the country also have a great responsibility on this regard by taking necessary steps to safeguard their well-being through good health practices and behaviors. The COVID-19 virus has hit thousands more across the globe, the majority of cases in China, South Korea, Italy and Iran. The virus has now affected at least 93,160 people around the world. The death toll has reached 3,198. Italy is taking increasingly desperate measures to stop Europe's worst coronavirus outbreak. It's now closed all schools and universities and is prepared to ban almost all public gatherings altogether.
Italy has closed all schools and universities nationwide and is prepared to take even more drastic measures in a desperate attempt to stop Europe's worst coronavirus outbreak. Prime Minister Conte said on Wednesday that his country's health system was at risk of being overwhelmed. Over 100 have died and 3,000 infected in that country.
Grazie.
But in addition to the school closings, a draft decree seen by Reuters, if enacted, would go much further. The government is prepared to effectively ban public events altogether. Movie theaters, sports, any event that doesn't allow people to keep at least 1 meter distance from each other. The document, which is still under consideration, would also ask Italians to avoid physical contact, such as hugging each other or shaking hands. So far, coronavirus has been mostly contained to the country's north, where many towns have been put into effective quarantine and daily life has been disrupted. And Italy's economy is suffering. The tourism sector is especially hard hit. By one industry estimate, it could lose 32 million customers between now and May. Earlier this week, Rome said it was considering a spending program to protect its shaky economy.
In the meantime, many positive steps have been taken by the health and affiliated sectors to safeguard the nation from the threat posed by novel coronavirus. In addition, people of the country also have a great responsibility on this regard by taking necessary steps to safeguard their well-being through good health practices and behaviors. The global attention has been directed on the rapid spread of the COVID-19 disease. The viral infection has been rapidly spreading in several countries in the world, even though Sri Lanka is yet to report a confirmed case at present. The World Health Organization has recommended several health practices to avert the spread of the disease among the public. The people have been requested to wash their hands with soap before meals, after associating with a crowd, and returning home from outside, after sneezing, after coughing, after using the toilets, after engaging in sports activities, and after caring for patients admitted in hospitals. An individual should refrain from lingering in crowded places if they show symptoms of fever, cough, cold, sore throat, or breathing difficulties. Medical advices should be obtained over such conditions. Also, the doctor should be consulted if the individuals have returned to the country from abroad within the past 14 days.
Meanwhile, researchers in China have developed a robot which they hope will help doctors who are working with coronavirus patients on the front lines.
A robotic arm on wheels could be a critical tool in the fight against the coronavirus. The robot can perform mouth swabs, take your temperature, and even listen to your heartbeat. Doctors don't need to be in the same room. They could even control it from a different city. That's according to the robot's designer, Tsinghua University professor Zheng Gangtie.
Doctors are very brave, but this virus is just too contagious. So using robots to perform the most dangerous tasks, especially now that the situation abroad is getting similar, is actually very important.
The idea came to Zheng around the start of Chinese New Year. By then, the outbreak had already gotten very serious, and many health workers were getting infected. Several have even died from the virus. The robots use the same technology as space stations and lunar explorers. Initially, they worked almost entirely on their own. They could even disinfect themselves after interacting with patients. However, Zheng soon learned that even robots cannot replace doctors.
The feedback from doctors was that it would be best not to be fully automated because there must be a person there next to the patient to comfort and calm them.
Professor Zheng says one robot is already in Wuhan, the outbreak epicenter. Doctors there will get robot training, and if all goes to plan, it will help with real virus patients starting this week. Zheng said he would like to build more robots, but the funding from the university has run out. Their cost, at more than $70,000 apiece, could be a reason why.
Moving on to more local stories, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa requests all entities to extend their support for his program for the betterment of the country. The president made these remarks during a meeting with the heads of media institutions held at the Presidential Secretariat today. The president said that his plan has been designed only for the future of the country. During the meeting, the president said that as a person who never mentioned the name of his main competitor during the election period, he would not criticize the opposing views at any time. The president said that the policy is the most important factor for him than the person. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that the changes brought in through the 19th Amendment have obstructed the governance of the country. He said that he could not comprehend the meaning behind the executive presidency if the executive president has been hindered to carry out the governing process in the country within the executive authority. Responding to a question raised whether the president is in term to work with Sajid Premadasa as the Prime Minister of the country, he said that as the government, he would pay attention towards the policies than the individuals. He said that they follow a series of policies and those policies are within the framework of his party. He also said that the general public disapproved the policies maintained by the previous government. He said that he cannot move forward with a failed government consisting of failed policies, including the failure to understand the importance in national security and freedom and failure to comprehend economic policies which led to the storing of paddy in Mattala airport. He said that he will move forward with a government which will implement the policies he has promised to the nation.
Minister Bandula Gunawardena says that the trainees recruited under the program to provide jobs for graduates will receive the relevant allowance from 1st of March. Also, the applicants who have not received the appointment letters after applying for the postings can submit their appeals to the Divisional Secretariat. The minister made these remarks while speaking at the media briefing to announce the cabinet decisions held at the Department of Information. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that the letters of appointments have been sent out to the appointees prior to the dissolution of the Parliament. He said that the training for the appointees will be given through the assigned divisional secretariats. He said that they could not comprehend the reason behind the decision taken by the Election Commission to halt the training program. He said that the government expects to conduct a meeting with the Election Commission on this regard today. He said that the appointments have been made as promises by the government accordingly. He said that the newly recruited appointees will receive their salaries from March 1st.
In the meantime, Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Professor W.T. Lakshman, says that the economy is expected to recover in the year 2020 despite global disruptions to growth caused by the spread of COVID-19 and uncertainties in the domestic market. He also said that the country will record a growth rate of 3.5 to 5% for this year. He made these remarks at a media briefing held today to announce the decisions taken at the meeting of the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
The Monetary Board, which met yesterday, decided to maintain the current accommodative monetary policy stance of the Central Bank. As such, the policy interest rates that were reduced by 50 basis points will be maintained at the reduced level. We urge commercial banks to pass the benefit of our policy rate reduction in January to the borrowers without any further delay. At the same time, the Monetary Board extended an assurance to the market that adequate liquidity in domestic financial markets will be maintained to weather any impact arising from global developments, particularly due to the spread of the coronavirus or COVID-19. We have observed policymakers in many economies respond to the rapid spread of the virus through the globe. It is expected that these accommodative measures continue until the global economy shows clear signs of recovery from the current fragile state. The ongoing developments will have an adverse effect on Sri Lanka. Nevertheless, we expect the Sri Lankan economy to do better in 2020 than in 2019 and record a growth rate of around 3.5 to 4%. Following the elections scheduled for end April 2020 and the convening of the new parliament in May, the expected political stability and the presentation of the budget will boost investor confidence further. The current conducive fiscal regime and declining market interest rates are expected to compensate for the possible reduction in external demand to a great extent. Another key development that I would like to highlight is the recent rise in inflation. In fact, headline inflation has overshot the projections. As you are aware, this is driven by persistent high food inflation. Food prices have commenced declining, and we expect inflation to revert to 4 to 6% target range shortly and stabilize thereafter. The monetary policy also took note of developments in the other sectors of the economy. The exchange rate has shown greater stability and the official reserves remain at healthy levels. Current growth is expected to continue its upward trend, particularly with declining lending rates. We expect a further decline in market lending rates in response to the measures that have been already taken. Possible fiscal slippages were also discussed, and we observed that the expected net financing requirements in 2020 is unlikely to add any excessive pressure to the market. Overall, there were factors, some of them supporting the relaxing, some of them supporting maintaining, some supporting tightening of the current accommodative monetary policy stance. However, most factors supported maintaining the current stance and allow the market to adjust further in response to the policy measures taken thus far.
A meeting was held between Chairman of the Election Commission Mahinda Deshapriya and the heads of the National Centre for Graduates over the decision taken by the Election Commission to temporarily suspend the trainee appointments extended for the graduates under the 2020 programme to provide jobs for graduates recently. The meeting was held at the Election Commission premises today. Representatives of several organisations including National Centre for Graduates, Association of the Unemployed Graduates, Collective of Associations to Protect External Degrees were present for the meeting.
The attention of the government has been directed to introduce a systematic and convenient methodology for the issuance of permits, leasing and charging taxes for the granite industry. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa directed instructions on this regard to the relevant authorities today. The Prime Minister made these remarks during a meeting held at the Temple Trees this morning to discuss on the issues related to those who involved in the granite industry in state and private properties. A committee headed by the Land Commissioner General was appointed to prepare systematic, convenient and streamlined methodology. The committee comprised of the representatives of several state institutions including Land Commissioner General's Department, Forest Conservation Department, Geological Survey and Mines Bureau and Central Environment Authority. The committee should provide the recommendations within 2 weeks. The Prime Minister said that the state sector should take necessary steps without inconveniencing those who engaged in the industry and affiliated employments. Those who involved in the granite industry stated that they have to visit many state institutions to acquire the relevant permits and to pay the taxes. The Prime Minister pointed out the importance of engaging in the industry in an eco-friendly manner. Secretary to the Prime Minister, Gamini Senarath, and Secretary to the Ministry of Highways, Ranjit Premisari, were present on this occasion. Welcome back, and we continue with more stories here at home. The Mahinda Sulagin Gota Abhishekayata book was unveiled today at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute premises. It was held under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The author of the book is former parliamentarian and the leader of Pivithuru Hela Urume Udayagammam. The book consists of the content related to the Nugegoda historic rally, which assisted to bring Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa back into power to the commencement of the era of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Mahasangha political authority and members of the party were present on this occasion.
The Cabinet approval has been granted to allocate 150,000 new domestic water connections. The accelerator program to allocate the relevant water supply connections is set to commence within the first 2 quarters of this year for the families who are unable to acquire domestic water supply connections. The proposal was submitted by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa.
The Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal submitted by the Prime Minister to initiate the Stadium Gama Housing Development Project to provide facilities for the housing requirements for the low-income families living in less convenient settlements in Colombo City. The project will be initiated under the Colombo Urbanised Restoration Project. The Cabinet approval was granted for the preparation of the National Fertiliser Policy. Accordingly, a committee comprised of intellects in the field is set to be appointed. The final draft of the policy will be prepared after obtaining views of the other relevant parties and public on the draft prepared by the committee. The decision taken by the government to construct 28,000 permanent houses with new technological concrete panels for the people affected from the conflicts occurred in northern and eastern provinces has been initiated. An agreement was reached with a new contractor over the construction of 1,000 houses after acquiring a term loan from the Bank of Ceylon. Accordingly, the Minister of Community Empowerment and Estate Infrastructure Development informed the Cabinet that the project was initiated on February 21st. The Cabinet of Ministers has also granted approval for the proposal to establish an institution to develop luxurious hotels and state-owned property related to tourism sector. Hotels including Grand Hyatt, Hilton and Grand Oriental Hotels owned by state institutions such as Treasury, Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation and Bank of Ceylon will be brought under one institution.
In the meantime, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that the preparation of a national policy for methodical education fitting for timely changes should be expedited. The President emphasized that the policy should be a methodology for the future generations of the country and not something which could be altered with the change of the President or the Minister of Education or the government. The President made these remarks during a meeting over the future plans of the Education Ministry held at the Presidential Secretariat today. The measures taken to draft the policy for education should be informed to the Cabinet of Ministers, the Parliament and the general public. The President said that the draft should be prepared considering the instructions of the veterans of the field of education and international methodologies. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that the students from lower grades should receive an understanding over computer science. He said that the country will be in a backward position compared to the rest of the world if the required knowledge has not been disseminated to the children. He said that even the teachers should be updated on computer science. The President has instructed to take accelerated steps to transform existing 19 teacher training colleges into university faculties. He emphasized that the results of the amendments made to all fields, including computer technology, by the Ministry of Education will be clearly shown in the next 3 to 4 years.
A new Guinness World Record has been set for the most alternative endings for a book by veteran author and illustrator Sibyl Wettisinghe. Wonder Crystal is the only children's book in the world with the most completed alternative endings, and it is written by 20,000 children. The book was launched by the author with the objective of encouraging children to use their imagination and explore their creativity and complete the story by contributing through their writings, drawings and poetry. That's it for the news this evening. Have a good night.
Have a pleasant night.